Good morning, Metro. It is so good to be with you. It is a joy to be with my friends who are both here and online. A little shout out to the Caldwells. I think the last time I saw the two of you together, you were standing in front of me when I presided at your wedding, and so it's a joy to see you this morning as well. I want to thank Anita and Julia and to Claire for your leadership this morning. I want to thank Tiffany, and I want to thank Troy and Megan for their incredible hospitality to me today. Thanks to my mom for the music, and thank you, Tom. Extraordinary. So, one thing that you might know about my family, we're story people, right? We love to tell stories. We love to use our imagination. We love to enter into stories in different ways. And so this story of the Good Shepherd, I started to go back in my mind to how I first heard this story. And it was probably at the Emmanuel Baptist Church in Wichita, Kansas. Teacher would be sitting here. I'd be sitting on some square piece of carpet, some little rug on the floor, and there'd be an easel next to the teacher. And on that easel was a big piece of cardboard covered in felt. Does anyone know what a felt board is? Is this hitting for anybody? A felt board was a Sunday school aid when I was growing up, and the teacher would have a pile of pictures that they would stick up on the board as they were telling the story. Another way of thinking about this is really old school PowerPoint with nothing cool about it, right? Very static, nothing going on, okay? So the teacher would stand up there, or be sitting there with the easel, big piece of, should we call it green felt, blue felt, one of those. And the story of the Good Shepherd. And in the middle of the board goes a picture of the Good Shepherd, of Jesus. Now, that was a certain time period, and so can you imagine what Jesus looked like in that little felt board picture? He was tall, very white, long curly hair going down. The robes were pristine, and the staff. And so Jesus on the felt board, the Good Shepherd. On one side of it was a big picture crushed with sheep in some kind of pen. Ah, the blessed sheep. They're safe. They're all together. They're huddled up. They're seeing each other. I'm guessing it smelled bad if they were actual sheep, but they were together, right? So boom. And as the story would go on, the teacher would talk about the Good Shepherd, and Jesus, the Good Shepherd, would kind of move to the sheep, to this big picture of sheep, and the teacher would say, oh, and then the shepherd counted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, up to 99. One is missing. So then the Good Shepherd would start the Good Shepherd's journey across the felt board, and the next picture would come up. On the felt board was a poor, lost lamb. There was thunder and lightning, it looked like. It was in the middle of a storm, and there was a wolf coming in, and the little lamb was caught. And this leg was caught, and it couldn't move. And in my mind as a child, it was Jesus who, like Superman, came and beat up the wolf and stopped the rain and the storm, and all this happened. Jesus saves the little lamb, walks back, and then very quickly, the teacher takes that picture of the Good Shepherd off and puts the next one up. And what is it? It's Jesus carrying the lamb on his shoulders, walking back to the crowded pen of sheep. I loved growing up and hearing these stories. They fed me. They got into my bones. And I think we can hear these stories in a different way now. When we think of the Good Shepherd, we don't have to think of the Good Shepherd as this white, well-coiffed Jesus, leaving the 99 and going after the one to save the one from this world and to bring it back into the safety of the pen. I was a good kid growing up. Well, don't ask my parents that, but in general, I was a pretty good kid, and I was at church all the time, and I loved church, and church was huge to me. And for me, when I would hear this story, I would think about the sheep, the lamb that got away, and be like, naughty lamb. Naughty lamb. The lamb wasn't supposed to go over there. See, you were supposed to stay in the pen. Safety was in the pen. You could blend in the pen. You knew what to do in the pen. And so I would look at this little lamb who would run away. Too bad. As I reflect on this, I think about this pen. And I think about the words of Jesus, and Jesus was looking, he's telling this story and says, listen, there's rejoicing when one lamb, one sheep comes back. Then the celebration of the 99 righteous sheep who didn't need to repent. I love Jesus' storytelling because he can be sarcastic. The parables are beautiful this way because they make a point. See, I was in this pen thinking how righteous. Oh, I'm a good little guy. And yet, Jesus wasn't saying, be the little sheep in the pen with the 99. Because in all reality, who among us don't need repentance? Don't have things in our life that are not great? But somehow in that little pen, I felt like, oh, maybe I am. So I think the story is telling us first to get out of the damn pen. Excuse me, I'll be better about my language, I apologize. Get out of the pen. You weren't created to be in the pen. Whatever that looks like for you, you weren't created just to be one of 99 looking around, trying to make everybody else feel like you and be like you and think like you. See, when I heard this story initially, Jesus was going out and pulling people in. Churches often have this same perspective. We do outreach. We feed the poor. We take care of those who are struggling, primarily because we want to grow the church. We want to pull those people in. Actually, I think the message of the story is Jesus saying, come out. Go get lost. Go get lost in a world that God created. Go get lost in beauty. Sit and hear a story that's overwhelming and be exposed to the beauty of song. Get lost in it. Get lost in a world that is glorious and just painful sometimes. The work that I do is I work with a lot of food access programs, and the last couple of years have been painful. Standing in line with people who can't put food on their table. Sitting on a Zoom call and hearing parents in the background arguing because there's not enough food for the kid that you're on with. Jesus, our good shepherd, is saying, that's what I created for you. Be there. Don't be in the pen. I think God is calling us to go out, to get lost, to not know exactly where you are and how it's going. Get lost. So that the second thing can happen. We can get found. Think about this image of being found by someone. It means that someone was looking for you. The second part of the parable that Claire read for us was the woman searching, turning her house upside down for a coin. If you're lost, you can be found. You can have that experience of being seen, of being loved, of being cared for. You can be known. I tell a story of, I was thinking about this, I lived in a monastery for a little bit, which was an amazing experience, something I loved. And I was sitting with one of the brothers after I had left the community. And I said to him, you know what? I didn't miss a single prayer. And we prayed a lot. Prayed early morning, middle of the day, in the afternoon, in the evening. I said, look what I did. And this brother, Brother Luke, looked at me and said, Patrick, maybe you should have slept in one day. It's like, I should have slept in one day. And Brother Luke said, because you never got to experience someone loving you in that community just because you're you, not because you did all the right things you were supposed to do. I thought I was earning my place in the community by, I got up and I was up at prayer at 6 a.m. and I did the singing and I did this and I did the chores and I did all those things. And the brother was saying, you probably should have slept in so that you could be found by a community and known and loved. Being found by someone who loves you, families, parents, husbands, wives, friends. Being known is liberating. Get lost. Get lost in the beauty and the pain of this world. Get found. Get found by love. Get found in service. And then lastly, follow the shepherd. I always think about this pen of sheep. The good shepherd counts 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 99. There's one missing. And the shepherd leaves and goes out to find the one. Break out of the pen and follow the shepherd. Break out of the gates that are holding you back, and follow the shepherd. Sheep go with the shepherd. That's the gig, right? And then think about this world that you will encounter as you journey out into this world with a good shepherd. You will face the storms. You will face the pain and the struggle and the fear. But the shepherd will also lead you to those points where there's quiet water that's fresh and brings life. The shepherd will also lead you to the place of quiet rest in your mind and your soul, in your body, and say, I got you. I've been thinking so much about our song from the offertory this week. It's been ringing in my head. Don't you worry. Nothing's going to harm you. Not while I'm around. There's innocence to it, isn't there? And in the story, we see this deep innocence, and it is a tragic story in Sweeney Todd. It is a painful story, but is a risk of love. It is a way of loving the world in totality. It's seeing all of this and saying, the shepherd isn't saying stay in these walls. Our hymn earlier, the gathering, not in walls that are too confining. Metro, friends all over the country, friends here, friends who have homes, friends who don't have homes, friends that have plenty to eat, and those who are just hungry right now. We are given this moment to follow a shepherd into something new. And it is scary. But I think staying in a pen of this is how I live my life. This is what church means. This is what everything happens. Everything has to be just like this. That's not freedom. And as the good scriptures say, if the Son has set you free, we are free indeed. And so we follow a shepherd into the world of beauty, into the world of pain. And so my prayer, Metro, is that you and I and we together would go get lost, that we would get found, and that we would follow our shepherd and go do some finding of our own.